the bones of modern America. From cityscapes to railways and everywhere in between, this keystone commodity supports our nation from coast to coast and the ground up. But keeping this material in steady supply takes a special breed of worker, the kind that can put in long hours, master heavy machinery, and withstand the scorching heat needed to make our nation's preeminent metal. Of the many materials that comprise our country, none are quite so essential as steel, which is why every year we forge upwards of 72 million tons of the stuff, more than enough to build 1,000 aircraft carriers. But instead, the bulk of it goes into framing our cityscapes, our highways, our power lines, and the countless other mainstays that make modern civilization possible. And these days, thanks to some pretty aggressive expansions all over the nation, the demand for it is reaching record highs, sending production facilities everywhere into overdrive. Facilities like Gerdau Steel in Midlothian, Texas. Here, production needs have skyrocketed from 3,000 tons a day to a far more ambitious 5,000. And to create that kind of output, hundreds of employees are literally working 24/7 to turn mountains of scrap metal into the all-important alloy that frames our nation. And all of that starts with this guy, Scrap Inspector Mark Bell.
We're the beginning of the steel process. The steel comes in mainly on trucks. We bring it in and it's sorted by category: cans, junk car. It gets shredded up. The shredder runs 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, and the average is about 175 to 200 tons per hour.
That's the equivalent of a Boeing 747 reduced to shreds every single hour. But moving that kind of metal is essential to feeding America's ever-growing demand, and the furnace here that blazes day and night to keep up with it.
We have to receive a minimum of about 4,000 tons a day by truckload. We're shooting for 4,800 to 5,000, but at least 4,000 to meet our quota every month.
To meet today's quota, Mark and his colleagues will need to bring in 150 truckloads of scrap steel. And as you might expect, keeping all those rigs in motion is among their highest priorities.
It's a big part of the process. It's how quick we can get them in and we can get them out. We fill up down here, we'll move trucks up here to this pile. We'll dump a few up here, we'll move them down there, whatever it takes to keep those trucks moving. We're getting pretty backed up out there. Hey, Sebastian.
Yes, sir.
Hey, how's that line looking, bud?
Kind of full.
Yeah, we can't afford to stop trucks. I'm gonna grab a few and take them over behind the fuel pad. We keep asking for more scrap so we can keep up with demand, but if we're gonna ask for it, we gotta have a place to put it. These guys, they get paid by the load. They want to move.
But not all of the scrap brought in is necessarily steel. Mixed in with that can be many a ton of dirt, plastic, and other undesirable materials. So another important part of Mark's job is ensuring that Gerdau doesn't pay too much for impurities like these.
The scaleman gets the weight when he comes in, but I'm going to decide what the grade code is once I see it. And if I find any dirt, impurities, things that shouldn't be in there, I'll actually make the deduction right here on this iPad.
Not that Mark will tally up every single ounce of useless product, but there is a certain tolerance for these inevitable impurities.
We'll get water heaters, refrigerators that have the foam insulation around them, and that's okay. We're only looking for this material to be about 70% actual ferrous metal material. This load is actually really clean. You can see there's a little bit of insulation, things of that nature, but it's about what I would expect to see. So we're going to say this load's good, it's clear, it's good to go.
But unfortunately for Mark, not all loads that come through here are as exemplary as the last.
That's not going to cut it for us. This one is going to have some impurities.
While Mark inspects his latest truckload of scrap, at Gerdau's rail yard, more recyclable steel is arriving at the mill via train. all pre-sorted by grade and composition. But to make high-quality steel out of it, these rail cars have to be shuffled and lined out in a particular order, almost like a recipe strung out over 300 yards of railway. And it's the job of Fidel Villagomez to ensure that each of those ingredients is in its proper place.
Good. My job as a switchman is to make sure the right scrap mix goes into the melt shop and to cut the cars around accordingly. Right now we're building the switch to feed the melt shop. And we're gonna build it, and then when they call for it, we will push it in.
If Fidel does his job right, the resulting string of cars should contain the right proportions of scrap metal in the exact order needed to make the next batch of steel.
All right, Gene, go ahead, bump it. Good.
And with the next car knuckled up, this particular recipe should be good to go.
All right, Gene, down the hill with everything. So now we got everything lined up how we're supposed to for the recipe. Now we're okay with pushing to the melt shop. Down the hill. Come to you, David. Yeah, so I have the other switchman in there, David. He's writing down what material it is and how much it weighs. And I got Gene on the engine. He's of course navigating the engine going towards the melt shop. Team feet.
Fidel, we have a radiation alarm. We're gonna have to double check this one.
As you might expect, a radiation alarm means that one of these cars may contain material that's radioactive, which, for obvious reasons, is not something Fidel and his colleagues want. So they'll have to test it further to see just how hot it is.
TM4. All right, Gene, we got a radiation. Give me 1 second, we're gonna have to check it.
While Fidel and his team deal with the nuclear fallout, at the heart of the mill, shop operators are already hard at work, creating fresh steel for a ravenous nation. And on the front lines of that effort are guys like Jeff Rowe.
Steel is important to America because it's one of the main building blocks. Every hospital, every highway that has rebar in it, everything has steel in it. Without it, it'd be a very different country.
Jeff has no interest in finding out what that country would look like. So today, he's doing everything he can to ensure Gerdau meets its 5,000-ton quota. And for him, that means working in one of the harshest environments around.
My mom came out for a tour one time, and she said it was what she imagined hell would look like. 3,000 degrees is something to respect, and it takes some getting used to.
All that hellfire comes courtesy of a device known as an electric arc furnace, the inner workings of which, despite being a little hard to see, are fairly straightforward. Basically, an insulated bowl is loaded with about 200,000 pounds of scrap steel. From there, 3 graphite electrodes are lowered into the scrap and charged with about 70,000 amps of electricity, creating arcs in excess of 5,000 degrees. More than enough to turn the scrap into a pool of molten steel, which is then poured off and craned elsewhere to be cast into billets. At the moment, Jeff and his colleagues are preparing to make their next round. But first, they'll need to conduct some essential maintenance.
Climbing up here, inspecting the furnace. Got one area where the bank is missing.
Missing bank simply means that the furnace wall is starting to erode from all the heat. So it's up to Jeff to ensure those cavities are filled before the next batch can commence.
So we got to patch it, and it's just MGO and gunner material, kind of like a concrete, just to spray in there, acts as a barrier to protect those weak spots. All patched up, ready to go, make another heat.
A heat is industry lingo for creating another batch of steel. And all that starts with about 100 tons of raw scrap.
Furnace is fixing to take another charge. Crane's picking up the bucket now. Bruce will swing out. He'll drop that charge, swing back in, and start running. 220,000 pound charge in the furnace. It's gonna make one hell of a fireball.